Good evening, everyone. This is Joseph Brown at Me Bella Wellness Center, and welcome to the Ageless Vitality Podcast. I am Joseph Brown, your CEO and men's health provider. And today we have a special guest, but let me first introduce the one and only Dr. Mia. Dr. Mia, how you doing?
I'm fantastic. Hey, y'all. Welcome to the Ageless Vitality Podcast, where we help you maneuver through the midlife journey with grace and elegance so that you can live well, age well, and experience everlasting intimacy. And I am super excited for the guest that we have today, Harriott Myers. I'm going to let her introduce herself, but I'm really excited because she's going to bring a new conversation to midlife journey and what we're putting in our bodies and how we can use food to help us maneuver through this midlife journey so that we feel better, we age better, and again, we have everlasting intimacy and great everlasting intimacy. So, Harriott, can you introduce yourself to the people?
Thank you. Thank you. So I am from New York, and before New York, I'm from Jamaica. And so
I'm
yeah, man.
And wow. Right. And so I fell in love with nutrition at the age of 10. So needless to say, nutrition is not just what I do. Nutrition is who I am. So in my teens, I was the teenage friend who would always tell people, eat this, eat better, do that, drink your water. When I immigrated to America, I formalized my education and I got a bachelor's in dietetics, food and nutrition, and a master's in public health nutrition. So I not only worked as a clinical dietitian in the hospital, I also worked in the community around community gardens. I worked with the federal WIC program. I was a WIC director at Harlem Hospital. And I love nutrition. I love public health nutrition. And then it just took me into private practice, which is really an extension of what I do.
Excellent. So we are excited to have you. We're going to talk about welcome to the Ageless Vitality Podcast. And we want to talk about nutrition and how it can empower us through the midlife journey. So can you just talk a little bit about healthy eating, the importance of adding plant-based foods to the diet, and then just a few tips on what we should consider necessary during this time in life as far as nutrition goes?
So it is a simple question, and yet it is a loaded question because you're also dealing with people's preference. So nutrition has become more of how do I suit a particular group of people and less about the food and how it affects you. So you'll hear people or some of my colleagues teach nutrition and they talk about, let's see how I can, or let's see how you can manage a certain food in your diet and not get rid of it. So real nutrition or nutrition that's good for you, it's actually the one that works for you, right?
Okay. And that may be different for everybody. It sounds like that's what you're saying.
Yes. And I didn't always believe this, but I've seen people eat a certain way and they actually are good and they have good vitality. I'm talking about strength and vigor, and they don't eat like me. And they still have that strength and vigor. So I honestly believe just like foods are different, callaloo, carrot, humans are different. And so you can eat for yourself. So what is good nutrition? I say it's mostly plant with whole meats, not bacon or salami or spam, but whole meats. So if you're eating
hold on, time out. Did you say spam?
I know people still eat spam.
Ah,
and by eating sausages and souse meat.
Let me just say something. A good fried spam sandwich used to be the best thing ever.
Yes.
Now in my mid-age journey, I probably should not do that. It's not going to agree with me well. But you said
No.
spam. All right, I'm sorry. All right, I'm sorry. I apologize.
So I believe in plant heavy with
Yes.
some whole meats.
Now,
So
explain whole meat, so because some people may not know exactly what you mean. Whole meats.
Right.
chicken,
Right.
beef,
Lamb.
lamb,
Yes.
the eggs,
What about ground beef?
and ground meat. Remember now, ground meat it's almost like it's more based on commercial liking. It's not necessarily, because you're not necessarily getting the flesh of the beef in the ground beef, right? Or the
Right.
flesh of the turkey in the ground turkey. You're
What are you
getting
actually getting?
combinations of different parts. So you
Parts,
might be
right.
getting some tongue and some ears and
Right.
flesh and different parts. So if you decide you want to do ground meat, and you get some skin for fat and different parts. So if you're eating ground meat, it's not like eating a slab of chicken breast or a slab of filet mignon. It's not quite the same, unless if you read the package that says 100% ground meat.
Yes.
You
One
might.
thing that we do is we get most of our ground meat from the butcher.
No, that's
And
different.
yeah, and so he will tell you if it's sirloin or chopped sirloin or whatever is mixed with from there. And we see that the beef is a better quality meat, especially
Yes,
for us who have sensitive bodies, when it comes
yes,
to food. Doc has sensitive when it comes to certain food, and I'm sensitive when it comes to like breads and stuff like that. So we have to be careful about what we put in our bodies. And like you said, it's
yes,
different for both of us. She can eat bread,
yes.
but bread does. I love bread, but I can't eat bread for real, because I can't do enriched flours. And I've learned that
Ah,
over time that enriched flours doesn't agree with me. So
yes.
what you're saying is 100% fact, because it's all different. It's just like the blood type of
That's what I was going to ask.
diet.
What do you think about the blood type diet? Do you think that there are certain foods that work better for certain genetics?
Well, genetics and blood type is a little bit different, right? So I don't really believe in the food for your blood type, but I do
Okay.
believe there's no really research out there that shows food for your genetics, but I really do believe in that, because I'll see something happening to Quill, who is my husband. If he eats a certain thing, I'll notice that it doesn't affect him the same way it affects me. And I was thinking, how come that's not happening to you? And he'll say,
Right.
I don't know. And then when you go back, my mother was diagnosed with diabetes at some point, and his mother was never diagnosed. So I do believe that you can eat, and your genetics play a huge role. And remember, genetics doesn't really change, right? Much, if it changes at all. So the food we eat, I do believe that your genetics plays a part, and the food plays a part in how each person, processes it.
And what the
Oh
other thing
wow.
I've noticed is that with age and with change in hormones, so as my patients, so my ladies in their 30s to 40s, they start to notice more bloating, like Joseph was saying, when he eats regular bread. Now, if we buy sourdough bread, we don't get that same bloating. But if we try to
Right.
eat white bread, which we don't do, but some people still eat white bread, the bleached bread or the wheat bread, even now, we notice that that can cause a little bit more bloating and GI upset. And we start to notice at this age, as our hormones are changing, more insulin resistance, meaning we start noticing we're gaining weight in the abdomen. That's a sign of insulin resistance. We notice that people tend to get elevated hemoglobin A1Cs and pre-diabetes and diabetes as they age and mature around that same time when their hormones are starting to change. So I do think that there's a connection between age, hormones, food tolerance, and then what works best. So what would you recommend for the woman like me? I'm 50, in full-blown menopause. I try to do all the things, exercise, eat healthy, work out. What would be the best way for me to figure out what works best for my body nutritionally?
So I'm going to answer that question, and then I'm going to just go back a little bit. So the conversation is like fulsome.
Yes.
So what are some of the things? Some of the things are things that have, they call it isoflavones, like your soy products. They have certain antioxidants in them that kind of emulate estrogen to a certain extent. So the men don't really like that. Sometimes it can give men gynecomastia. And so men tend to stay away from that. But men can drink some soy milk or eat some edamame every now and then, but it will work well for the women. Or breasts become more voluptuous and nice and plump. And also the hot flashes, they reduce. So you're talking about tofu. You don't have to eat it every day. Maybe 3 times a week is fine. I'm in the middle of it, so I know. And so you're talking about soy beverage. Or edamame, which is the young soybean. There is also black soy, which is just regular bean that you soak and you can cook with pressure cooker. So those soy products, they come with a certain amount of antioxidant that kind of mimic estrogen. Your cocoa also has some of those antioxidants that work well. Your seaweed also has antioxidants that work very well. So you could just change these foods up. Your flaxseed, in Jamaica, we call it linseed, but your flaxseed is also some of those foods that can help you manage those hot flashes and stuff like that. And if you have certain foods on a regular basis, your symptoms, I can't speak for a lot of people, but I can speak for me. I noticed my symptoms, I'm not kidding you, dropped more than 80%. I mean, I was flashing like a red bulb every day. Nothing. I started that within a week. My symptoms just reduced totally until I go to bed at night. I'm still working on that. I can't figure out how to sleep comfortably yet.
Well, you want me to explain why? So when you're doing the tofu and you're doing the healthy soy, because I think we do have to distinguish, because a lot of the processed foods have soy. So I don't want people to think that when you say soy, you mean that. I like the way you described what soy you're talking about, because for my patients, of course, I deal with a lot of women with fibroids. So I don't want them having a lot of soy, especially the processed soy. And for women with fibroids, I want them to decrease the soy in their diet to prevent some of the negative side effects. So can you just talk a little bit about the difference in processed food soy, like McDonald's, versus the soy that you're talking about that's healthy with the antioxidants?
Yes. So the edamame is whole soy products. Tofu is actually a highly processed food. So you don't really want to do that often. Tempeh is not highly processed.
Say that again. What was the name of the last one?
Tempeh. It's a fermented soy. And that's one of the reasons why your sourdough bread works so well for Joseph, because it has that sourdough in it. And so tempeh, it's one of those fermented foods that is not highly processed. There's something called TVP, textured vegetable protein, which is a soy, and it's so highly processed that you really can compare it to, I don't know, spam, maybe.
Okay.
I mean, nobody should eat TVP.
Right. And I'm so glad you're saying this, because there's so many people out here that are now calling themselves vegan and they don't eat meat, but they're eating all of this processed, like bean burgers and all of these processed foods. So they're not getting the good result that they want from this plant-based vegan diet. Can you talk a little bit about a healthy plant-based kind of diet or healthy vegan type diet compared to?
I sure can. Can I remember I said to you I was going to answer that question. I wanted to go back a little bit on something. So when we get to the age of around 50, or eggs start reducing drastically, right? Because the day that we were not born, but the day we were conceived, that 1 hour old, we were actually born with all our eggs, right, Dr. Mia? And so if we were born with 850 million eggs, we were born with it. We had it on 1 hour old in our parents' belly. When we were born, we lose some, and so we have millions, still ripe. By the time we were older, we've lost all of that. And the reason I'm getting to that, it's because I want to enter something called the lifespan of cells. And so in women, the lifespan of our cells, they last about 50 something years, right? And we just lose them constantly until you get to about my age and there's nothing more left in the pot, so there's nothing more falling down. But not only that, one of the reasons why we get so sick from the bloating and the A1C going up and the insulin resistant going on, it's our other cells have diminished. So remember, when we produce cells, we're not producing brand new cells that fall from the sky. We're using the fragments of old dead cells to make new cells. So we're not 1 day old Dr. Mia and Harriott and Joseph. We're 55-year-old of exponentially fragmented cells that, you know, we are now.
Right.
And so we have to think about that when we get to this age.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, you think about that when you get to this age, and having that thinking and that understanding that we are not our full selves by the time we get to this age. We want to eat better. And I just wanted to make that point, because a lot of times people think that they're coming with their 16-year-old selves trying to manage these changes. You're not. You're a fraction of those little cells that when you could run fast and you walk around the living room and your belly shrink, right?
Right. Right. That doesn't happen anymore.
No, that's not what
at
you're
all.
dealing with. No. So
No.
you have to understand that eating for health is going to take a little effort. I just wanted to say that, Dr. Mia.
Thank you. I'm glad you did. So then when we're thinking about like certain foods that may help during this time, I know you talked about more plant-based, but can you just talk a little bit more in depth about some things that you've noticed that work really well at this age for feeling good, having the energy, you know, having the desire to be intimate, you know, feeling good, aging well, and still maintaining that healthy weight so we can decrease health risk?
Yes. Right. And so I advocate I call it plant heavy or plant focused. And like I say, if you want to have your meat, you want to have whole meats. But really the kicker is, it's not quite the food. There's a little trick, right? It's not quite the food that make you sick. It's how the food is cooked that makes us sick. So for example, you could not eat McDonald's or never eat Burger King or never eat Popeyes or Kentucky Fried Chicken, and you still get kidney disease. Why? Because you cook like a Jamaican or that deep Irish cooking where they have a lot of fried food, and Italian with a lot of this. So it's really how you cook the food. And a lot of times people think it's the McDonald's because it sounds like fast food. But if you're cooking that at home, you're still going to get sick. So it's so simple, but it's really not the food itself. It's how you're cooking the food. And I challenge your listeners, start cooking your food differently, and you're going to see a magnificent change almost instantly.
For example, give me some differences. So in the South, okay, kind of the way I eat, the way we cook, the way we eat at home is we do try to eat healthier foods. We do try to buy organic when we can. We do try to eat more whole meat, more plant-based food. But what are some other things that you can think of as far as what we can change with how we're cooking and what we're choosing to eat on a regular basis?
Thank you for that question. So some people will have on their plate beautiful asparagus or Brussels sprouts, and they have some chicken or whatever, and then they'll have some potatoes or let's say yams or I don't know, quinoa, whatever. And when you look at the plate, you have grilled asparagus or sauteed Brussels sprouts. Sounds delicious, right? And then you have roasted purple potatoes with drizzle of olive oil that you bake in the oven. And then you have some, I don't know, some nice baked chicken breast with lemon, butter, or whatever. Everything on that plate can cause an issue. And I see people like that all the time who say, I'm doing everything right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm eating all my vegetables. I'm cooking my food at home. And so what is on that plate is everything is cooked the same way. The Brussels sprouts or asparagus is grilled. The potatoes are grilled or baked. The chicken is grilled or baked. And sometimes when they do quinoa, they'll fluff it up and steam it, but sometimes they roast it, or they'll just, make it nice and flavorful. If you find that how healthy the food is, no matter how healthy, if you find that you're cooking everything on that plate, you're doing something wrong. I mean, just cooking alone can take up the entire session. But if you find the easiest way to get out of that rut and that trouble, and you're doing everything right by eating the right foods in your mind, if everything is cooked the same way on your plate, you're going in the wrong direction.
So what would you recommend?
Yeah,
go ahead.
I had a couple questions. So are you saying that because everything is actually cooked, some of that should be actually raw?
That too, but it's cooked the same way.
So what would be the?
Let me diversify the cooking now.
Yeah,
so that same Brussels sprouts and asparagus with our purple potato or quinoa and our chicken breast. So I'm going to steam my asparagus in the steaming rack. I probably can still drizzle my onion, my lemon, but this time I'm going to blend it with some olive oil and some oregano and salt and pepper, and I'm going to drizzle it after it's steamed. And then for the potato, I might bake that in the microwave. I'll get to microwave after a while because people don't do that. But I bake that in the microwave. You wrap it in the skin, wet the paper towel, wrap it up, and you bake it in the microwave. And you could bake the chicken in your air fry if you want. Or you're doing your quinoa, you're going to steam your quinoa. So you see, you have baked chicken in the oven. You have some steamed asparagus or Brussels sprouts, and you have the potato cooked in a different way. So that's what I mean when you diversify your cooking method on the plate. If everything is cooked in the same way, you're going in the wrong direction. That's the easiest way I can say. Yeah.
And then
I go deeper into it because sometimes I get 10 questions after I explain that.
Mm-hmm. And the one thing that I really do push in the midlife journey too is making sure you get plenty of protein. So I know that is harder for people who don't eat meat. But protein, and so what I have learned, with dealing with weight management and teaching people how to lose the weight and keep it off, is that one thing for sure that works is having breakfast within that first hour of waking up. And then I noticed that if I eat frequent small meals instead of 1 or 2 big meals a day, but instead I try not to go over 3 hours without eating while starting my breakfast in the morning, which could just simply be a protein shake or a couple of boiled eggs, but then setting my timer, because I think one of the biggest mistakes a lot of us make in the midlife journey is that we don't do the frequent small meals and we don't make sure we get enough protein in, and we're eating bigger meals, stretching our stomachs versus small, frequent meals. Like, what are some recommendations that you would make as far as time eating, when you should eat, how frequently you should eat? I know it's going to be different for everybody because everybody's body may be different, but if we wanted to kind of pick up some good tips and habits that may improve our metabolism, help us hold on to muscle a little bit better, make sure we're eating enough fat because we need that for our hormones, what are some specific tips that you could kind of recommend that can be generalized to most people in the midlife journey?
So I'm from the belief, which is quite on the other end of you. Mm-hmm. So I love you, Dr. Mia, but when even I was eating several times throughout the day and my window was 3 hours, I noticed in my 50s, I was getting sicker. I practiced nutrition since I was 10. Where did that come from? I actually had to change that. And then I saw a huge improvement. And most of my clients come with that mindset. And so I have a program called the Eaton Program. So my program does not do that.
Okay.
So, and the people who I get off that rhythm of small meals, frequent small meals, actually get better when I get them off it. And it's the only time they get better.
And so how do you recommend? You recommend that everybody just eat one meal a day, or?
Oh, not necessarily one meal a day. When you're hungry, you eat.
Okay.
Sorry, the Jamaican came out. When you're hungry, you eat. Like when you're hungry, you eat.
Yeah, I think that the problem with high functioning people, though, is that you're so busy throughout the day that you don't realize you're hungry because you're too busy. And so what a lot of my patients end up doing is they wake up running, and they are high performers, high achievers, and they're doing all this stuff so that they don't even know when they're hungry because they don't take the time to self-assess. So they look up and they've gone the whole day without eating because they're so busy. So what do you think about that as far as metabolism goes and the metabolism of a middle-aged person?
They're actually eating. They're just not telling you. They pass 1 minute and they bite a piece of the bar, and they eat a handful of nuts, and they drink a sip of the coffee. They eat some popcorn. They eat a half a sandwich, and they're actually eating. They just don't tell you because they're not sitting down with a plate and knife and fork. But they're actually eating. Most of those people, if you were to say how many times you put something to your mouth, you'd get numbers like 6 and 7 times. So that's to answer that question.
So you think that's okay?
Oh, no. That's why they're sick.
Okay.
So that's why we're sick. So the insulin takes about 4 to 5 hours to go to baseline. Right. And so this is how I explain it when I talk to my clients. I want you to imagine moving, move from one place to the next, and you move. And as soon as you unpack, you actually have to move again because the roof is leaking or something with the house. And then as soon as you move, literally the next day, the landlord tells you that his family is coming in. And then you move and you go somewhere else. And then the next day, you're literally packing up. So throughout the time, you don't have time to even take out all your things out of the boxes. And that's what it is like eating 5, 6, 7 times a day. Your insulin doesn't even begin to touch baseline. I mean, it's not even halfway, and it's going up again. And it's not even halfway, and it's going up again. And that's the problem. And so you eat one nut and it brings it back up, and it stays there for the next 2 hours. And so
you don't feel like what you eat affects insulin. Some foods affect insulin more than others.
Not insulin, but absolutely. So carbohydrate is a high sugar food, and so insulin responds. So insulin is really just the bellboy. Insulin is nothing else but a bellboy. You go to the hotel and they come and get your bags, and they take your bags and they take it to the room. And the bellboy is only to pack away things. You don't call the bellboy when you are getting ready to go to the pool or going out at the hotel for a night, No, you only call the bellboy when you want him to take your bags and take it and pack it away to the room or pack it back into the car. So insulin is really just a packer, somebody who stores and help you to store things. Now, the typical person think that carbohydrate causes diabetes. Carbohydrate does not cause diabetes, right? So you can eat as much carbohydrate as you possibly can if you don't have, if you're not diagnosed with diabetes. You can eat it every day, all day, throughout your life, and never have high blood glucose levels staying up for over 2, 3, 4 hours. So that's the misconception. A lot of people are walking around thinking, and it really is ingrained in them, because oftentimes what I do with my client, randomly, I'll test them and I'll say, what causes diabetes? And so after their session, you'll hear them say, "Oh, it's it's not carbohydrate." But I literally have to do that. I mean, as sometimes I do it twice a month. I'll test them. What causes diabetes? Anybody? What causes diabetes? Because it's so ingrained in us, and I literally have to unlearn a whole bunch of things that they come to me with. So knowing that carbohydrate does not cause diabetes, what does? And so that's how when I address issues or diabetes per se in my clients, I address the cause.
And what do you say the cause is?
And that's the eating program. And the cause is actually saturated fat. So if you're having a handful of nuts, if you're having meats, if you're having not necessarily egg, because egg doesn't have a lot of saturated fat. So you can actually, somebody on the social media, I don't remember which social media, said they had 6 eggs and their numbers, cholesterol was still the same at the end of the month. And that was a quiz I gave my clients. I go, why do you think first of all, do you think he's lying or telling the truth?
Mm-hmm.
And then some of them say yes, no. And I go, and if he's telling the truth, why is he right? Because egg doesn't have a lot of saturated fat. So it does not increase your cholesterol level, right? So if the food has a lot of saturated fat, like your nuts and your meats, you're dealing with diabetes. And that is where the problem lies. We're walking around misinformed. In my program, we don't control carbohydrates. Mm-hmm. There's a way that with carbohydrate foods, I have them prepare it a certain way to manage their glucose. Okay. But we don't count carbohydrates.
Yeah, I don't believe in counting carbohydrates
because you want to address the root cause of the problem. What is causing diabetes? And so that's how I believe that's how you're most effective. Because after a year, they get rid of it.
Yeah, and I think we don't count carbohydrates. I don't think we inform anybody to do that. But but at the same time, we do see a lot of people who stay away from carbs just because of the bloating and things that they do get from carbohydrates and the sickness, like you're talking about, they get from carbohydrates and things like that. So I know we're talking about insulin resistance and things like that, but what are carbs the root problem of anything?
I don't believe so. I haven't had meat in over 30 years, right? So most of my food comes from carbohydrates. Mm-hmm. And so even
but I think it's also the kind of carbohydrates you eat, because you eat more complex carbohydrates. You're not doing white rice and white potatoes and white bread.
I do not white bread, but I do white rice and white potatoes.
Well, she's.
But you don't do it. You do enriched white rice.
No, I do the rice from India, the white rice, but I don't eat it a lot. So
right, but you don't do enriched flour rice.
No.
White enriched. So that's what I'm talking about when I think of simple carbs.
Yeah, that's what we see, that at least in our household, we see that any enriched flours, like we do wheat flours, things like that, but any enriched flours has a negative effect on as far as our body's concerned. We're talking about the adults. The children can eat anything and live to 1,000 years old.
Because their cells are different, right?
Yeah.
Right. We're talking about the adults. But I was going to say, you're Jamaican, so I know you eat rice. Not being stereotypical, but I've never had a Jamaican dish without rice. So I know you're Jamaican. But at the same time, so you're eating rice, the Indian rice, white rice, and things like that, which it doesn't have enriched flours in it at all. But outside of that, you say you don't eat meat. You haven't eaten meat in 30 years.
I haven't had beef in over 40 years. And chicken, the last time I ate chicken, cheese, or fish was 1997.
Okay.
So most of my.
You consider yourself vegan?
I don't eat animal products.
Yeah, so that would be the definition of vegan. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
Okay, I get it.
So I don't, I'm
Don't
not
eat animal
afflicted.
products.
I'm not afflicted with a lot of the conditions that, that I see some people are walking around. And
Right,
even even now at 54, I'm in the middle of menopause. My belly shrunk since, well, like I say, I have an eating program, and I actually practice what I do, what I
right,
teach, because I
Right.
don't believe you can teach something that you don't practice. So
right.
since the program, because I actually was eating some things that my husband was eating and it wasn't agreeing with me. So I had to come up with a way of treating my 55-year-old female body. And so
Right.
that's how I came up with the eating program. And my belly has shrunk since that time. So it's not necessarily food, but it's how you cook it. It's so important. I can't stress it enough. That is such an under discussed topic. How do you cook your food?
So back to how do you cook your food? So let's say we have the steamed asparagus versus the baked asparagus, right? So is it that we're adding the olive oil and all that before we put it in there and bake it? Or is it that we're, when you steam it, you're adding those taste ingredients afterwards?
Thank you for that question. That question has two-part answer. So the first part is you should not bake with olive oil because it has a very low smoke point. When you bake with olive
Right.
oil, it becomes very toxic. So you're actually eating more toxins than benefits from baking with olive oil. And the other
Okay.
part is because you're using something called dry heat cooking to cook the food, that's the problem.
So you feel like you're
Mm.
taking the nutritional value away from the food by cooking it that way?
No, it's the fact that there is no water present in the food when you cook it. So every time we cook a food, the nutritional value diminishes. So if we, let's say, bake it, maybe 80% of the nutritional value go away. If we cook it in, like simmering,
Sauteed
like sauteed, maybe 60%, a little less. And if you steam it in the carrier, maybe, I don't know, 20, 30%. So it's every time you cook your food, your nutrients are disappearing because you're changing the structure of the chemical.
It's like you're dehydrating the food.
Pretty much, yes. I never thought about it that way. But anytime you cook without water, you're not serving yourself. And it's not that you have to do everything without water. It's just that if everything on your plate was cooked without water,
yeah,
going in the wrong direction. So it's not the sauces or the whatever. It's the fact that you're not cooking with water present. That's the problem.
And you're the more you cook in like a dry heat, which would be the oven, is an air fryer considered dry heat as well?
Absolutely, yes.
So the more you cook in your air fryer and the oven, you're decreasing the nutrition value of the food by 80%.
About that.
So how do you recommend cooking? Like, give us some examples of how you eat where you feel better and you feel like you're getting more nutritional value during this time.
Right. So what is your cooking? Basically what we're asking is, what is your cooking process?
Yes. So the same meal that was roasted and sauteed, my sauteed Brussels sprouts, my slightly grilled asparagus, and some baked chicken, and the roasted sweet purple potatoes. So when I cook in the household, I cook the same food with the exception that Quill eats meat. So then he will bake his meat, and then we're going to have some stewed beans, which is my protein source. So we're going to have some stewed beans. I'm going to steam the Brussels sprouts and the asparagus on the steaming tray. And then I literally bake the potato in the microwave. So I wrap it in some wet paper towel. Like my paper towel is usually dripping when I wrap it in it. And then I'll just bake it. If it's a potato about this size of the hand, that's about 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Purple
5 to 7
potatoes,
minutes.
yeah, purple potato tend to be a little longer. So that I've baked it for like 20 minutes, but it's not 20 minutes straight. So I do 5 minutes and then I turn it, 5 minutes and turn it, 5 minutes. And I usually, make sure that it's baked. So on our plate, you're having a baked potato in the microwave. You're having steamed vegetables on the crate, which is wet because it's steaming with water. And then there is some baked chicken, which is dry, no water. And what else is on the plate? Yeah. So that's how you make the combination.
Okay. So I think one thing that we didn't know and that I'm learning today is that it does matter how you prepare your food.
Absolutely.
And when I thought about preparation of food, we always thought we were cooking healthier because we don't deep fry. We're from the South. I'm from the South, and Joseph's family's from the South. So, deep frying was a big change for us to change deep frying to sauteing. And so what do you think about cooking on top of the stove with olive oil?
The worst thing to cook with is olive oil. It's just a bad oil to cook with. I mean, olive oil is rich and it's low smoke point. You want to add it to your food when you turn off the fire. So let's say if you're sauteing vegetables, you shouldn't use olive oil. Let's say that. But let's say you're making soup. Then you add your olive oil right as you turn off your stove. That's the best way to cook with, if you're cooking with olive oil.
So if I want to saute some vegetables on the stove, what do I do if I don't want to use olive oil? Do I just use butter?
Well, I recommend canola oil, and there's this big canola oil has so many haters. But here is why I recommend canola oil. Canola oil has a high smoke point. And because it has a high smoke point, when you saute or roast with it, you're creating less chemicals from the dry heat. And so you have things like 3-MDPD, which is a high carcinogen, toxic carcinogen, highly toxic. Now, canola oil, of all the oils, when you dry heat it, has the least amount. Olive oil has more than it. Safflower oil, sunflower oil, all the other oils have more than canola oil. Another reason I choose canola oil, it's because it has canola oil, not only the high smoke point, but it's actually fragrant. When you don't use it a lot, you can taste the oils. When you don't use them often, you actually can taste the oils. There's another reason why I recommend canola oil in my program. It can withstand the heat. The primary thing is when you're baking or roasting or sauteing, make sure your oil can withstand the heat. If it's not able to withstand the heat, you're actually causing more problems than good in your body. It's really not a benefit.
We learned something new today, didn't we, Joseph?
Yeah, absolutely. I got a question though.
Yes.
What about avocado oil? Because I've been hearing about avocado oil has a high heat point,
Yes,
and things like that as well.
Yes, it does. But compare that to canola oil. Canola oil also has less 3-MDPD, MCPD. It has less of that chemical when you dry heat cook it. And
Okay.
canola oil has less saturated fat, even than olive oil. I mean, olive oil is a superior oil, so I don't want you to think that canola oil and olive oil is on the same level. It's not. But canola oil compared to olive oil has less saturated fat. And anything that has less saturated fat causes less high cholesterol in the body, right? Less serum cholesterol. So
do you eat olive oil at all and just make sure you're not heating it?
I eat olive oil on my salads, in my soups. I never cook with olive oil. And if I'm putting it in my bean, because I use it in the bean, my bean is already bubbling with water when I add it. and I'm getting ready to turn off the stove, and that's when I add my olive oil. So, but I'm not cooking with olive oil.
You're not using it as a base.
No, never as a base.
Got it. What about butter? What about butter?
Butter is a natural oil, but butter, it goes back to how is it, how is the thing cooked or prepared? For example, butter is a natural food, but how is butter made? You see, because it was pasteurized, the butter is not naturally yellow. But the heating process turned it yellow, and it is that heating process that causes a lot of the problems we have.
Okay.
And also, just because I'm touching on that, when it comes to foods that are inflammatory and foods that are not inflammatory, you have to understand that food in itself is not an inflammatory agent. So if you were to eat a raw steak, you're not eating an inflammatory food. Or if you were to drink milk from the cow that you express and drink it from the cow instantly, that's not an inflammatory food. But our milk that we know it, that's in our fridge right now, had to go through pasteurization. And it is that heat that creates those inflammatory products. And it is baking that chicken that creates that inflammatory product. It's sauteing that vegetable that creates that inflammatory product. And so butter, while it's a natural food, it was processed, and that yellow is from burning that protein and that carbohydrate in the butter. And that's why butter is probably an inflammatory food.
Okay.
You got to think about how you cook the food.
Yeah, this is a very good point. I didn't know anything. I never even thought about it like this. So I'm so glad we haven't.
Well, Doc, you don't cook.
Well, I don't. I have a wonderful husband who is the best cook on the planet.
Dr. Mia, we're in the same shoes. I'm a nutritionist, and I know I'm going to admit it. I don't like cooking.
Right. I'm not good at it. I don't do things I'm not great at.
I don't like cooking, Dr. Mia.
But Joseph does. So you just got to make.
All right. So I got questions.
Go ahead. I
got a question. All right. If you don't like the flavor of canola oil, would avocado oil be your next best thing? Because canola oil can have a flavor, you know, and sometimes it's not great.
I rotate my oils. So I'll do the avocado oil, but I never rotate my olive oil. Like olive oil stands in a class by itself. Okay. And so the other oils, I rotate them. So if you're using...
So cooking oils, we're talking about canola oil, we're talking about avocado oil. Finishing oil, we're talking about olive oil.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Raw, not cooked. Raw, not cooked.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, good.
And what about some you say what you were gonna say, and then after that, some anti-inflammatory foods, and then just kind of highlight some inflammatory foods that we should just kind of stay away from in general.
Right. What was the first question again before
you were about to say something? I wanted you to finish that, and then I wanted you to give us some examples of some healthy foods that are not as inflammatory, and then some inflammatory foods that we know we should probably just avoid at this stage in life.
Yes. So I was going to say, when you rotate your oils, you're rotating canola, avocado, coconut oil, your safflower, sunflower. And remember, some of them have a lot of saturated fat. If you're picking your oils, you want to make sure it has least amount of saturated fat. That's the killer. Yeah. That's the killer. And in terms of inflammatory foods, it's not the food. And this is something that it takes a while to unlearn. It is not the food. You could eat beef. If you were to eat beef raw, the inflammatory effect is not the same as a piece of roast beef. If you eat rare, I don't know if anybody eats rare, but let's say you eat sous vide. let's say you eat sous vide beef and you're eating your roast asparagus or your roasted potatoes or your roasted whatever. Your sous vide beef is less inflammatory than your roasted asparagus. And I am saying this because this is something that the research shows. It is how you cook the food that creates those chemicals. And this chemical is not foreign, just like if you bite an apple and you leave it on the counter and it turns brown, it's the same chemical that you create when you roast these foods. And so what is more inflammatory? It's not the food, it's how much you roast it. So a blackened fish is more inflammatory than your turkey meat that your ground turkey's chili sauce. If you think, how long did I roast or fry or bake? Has to be dry heat. How long did I do that? You're creating more chemicals the longer you do that. And that's where inflammatory foods fall. And less inflammatory foods are the ones that are slightly roasted or mostly steamed.
Okay.
Okay.
So okay, do this for us. This is
Yes.
gonna be good. Okay. So my 50 to 60-year-old couple,
Yes.
they are working really hard to live this lifestyle of wellness.
Yes.
They want example meals for the day. Can you give us a good example of like the food, the best way to cook it, the right kind of oil to use, like say for breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
Yes. Okay, so breakfast. You ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Joseph, tell me what's your favorite dinner food. Tell me a food that you eat for that you like. You just, no matter how bad you're feeling, it just reminds you of home. Tell me something you like. I'm gonna make it better.
I see. I can't. It reminds me of home. My mom was diagnosed with heart disease early.
But tell me something that you like. I'm gonna put a spin on it.
We ate a lot of baked fish, baked chicken.
What did you eat with that?
Sweet potatoes. We didn't eat a lot of rice. A lot of vegetables, a lot of broccoli. We had a lot of broccoli, steamed broccoli. We had a really healthy household because my mom is really.
But
what's like
she's saying, what's one of your favorite foods that you like right now?
Right now, tell me something you like right now. Anything.
I like a ribeye. Like
you like a ribeye steak?
Yeah.
And what do you eat with the ribeye steak?
Well, yesterday I had a ribeye and I had a beet salad with it.
Okay. So let's start there. So breakfast is a ribeye steak and a beet salad. That's breakfast, right? Then lunch could be some soup with a nice, I don't know, maybe some slice, I don't know, whole turkey sandwich loaded with raw veggies with a cup of soup. That's lunch. And then dinner could be some, I don't know, potatoes and your spinach, some steamed spinach or some collard greens. And if it's me, I'm going to have some stewed beans. And if it's you or Dr. Mia, you're going to have maybe some fish.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it.
Okay.
Breakfast is your ribeye steak with your beet salad. Lunch is soup and sandwich. And dinner is some potatoes. And yeah.
So when you like eat heavy to start your day.
No, when you look at your plate, you should not see breakfast, lunch, or dinner in front of you.
It should be healthy food that you should eat.
Right. You should not be able to distinguish, you're having breakfast. Oh, you're having lunch. You should not be able to do that. If you're
I got a question. I got a question with that, just to follow up on that. So what's your opinion of intermittent fasting?
Oh, intermittent fasting. I
Yeah.
personally do not do day fast. I think it's cruel. I don't like it. It's uncomfortable. So I do overnight fast.
Okay. So
So,
So what do you mean by that?
explain the overnight fast. You stop eating at
so
a
if
certain
I
time.
stop, you're right. So I knew I was going to meet Dr. Mia and you tonight. And so I
Mhm.
didn't want to eat after. So I ate early today. So I had dinner at 5 o'clock today. And so tomorrow I'm going to be eating after 5 a.m. And
Oh
so
yes. Okay. Yeah.
a
Yeah. Yeah.
full
Okay, so you
Okay.
fast,
try to make sure it's a good 12 hours from your
12
last
hours.
meal to your
Okay. So I get 12 hours, 12 hours. We talk about avocado and canola oil, using the olive oil as a finish versus using it to cook,
Yes.
steaming some of your food versus baking some of your food. And it's okay to have a baked item, but not everything should be baked,
There
correct?
you are. Yes.
Okay. So for us that love butter, though, okay, for us that love butter, how should we use the now? We use the butter pretty much as a finishing product, and I might cook with it sometime, and I don't cook with it often. But how should we use butter? Because butter is a flavorful finishing
Yes.
product.
Yeah. So you use it sparingly. So you don't use it for, let's say, my brother cooks in the hotels in New Jersey.
Okay.
So when he does the butter, he's using it on particularly steak. When he makes a steak, he'll tell me, I use it on steak.
Right.
So you use it sparingly. So you don't use it on every single thing. You have a
Right.
particular food and then you use it on that food per se. But you don't want to use it all the time because you're going to be sick if you're using butter all the time.
Right. Right.
And it's not because it has cholesterol in it, because it has a lot of saturated fat.
Okay. And how much does water play into all of this?
So important, because without water, nothing gets digested.
So do you recommend half your weight in ounces of water?
Pardon?
Do you recommend like half your weight in ounces of water? How do you recommend the amount of water somebody should drink or have a goal of for health?
I don't do a lot of exact measurements. You see, like in my program, we eat when we're hungry. I give them a benchmark, and then over time, it's more like you eat when you're hungry, because I kind of jumpstart them and then they eat when they're hungry. And water is the same thing. You drink when you're thirsty. And so I give them a minimum, but you drink when you're thirsty.
Okay.
And what is your minimum?
My minimum is 3 cups of water.
3 8-ounce cups of water.
Right. 3 8-ounce. No. So most days I'm drinking like 48 ounces of water. Most days. And then I can go up to, I don't know, 8 times 8 is what's 84.
Yeah, 84 ounces. Yeah.
Yes, but I rarely do that.
Yeah.
Rarely. And when I, how I measure it, and I explain to them, you want to check your fingertips. So if your fingertips are nice and bulby, you're getting water, but your fingertips should not look wrinkly or line between them.
Like mine.
It should not have lines in them, or no matter how skinny you are, your fingertips have line between them or so, and they're not nice and bulby. Is that a line with a ring finger? Look at it, Joseph, or if there's none, it's perfect.
He definitely
no, it's not like
because he don't drink enough water.
That's a nice, quick and dirty way to check your.
And you can see I need more water.
Yes, you need some water, Dr. Mia.
See, I don't have none of that.
Today I haven't had a lot of water. But Joseph just has, I think, bulby fingers because he does not drink enough water. So I don't, unless you've been drinking a lot of water today, have you?
No.
Okay.
So remember, if you eat your salt, your body is going to retain the water, right? So that can be why your finger is bulby. So So you just, but still you're hydrated. So that's how this is our quick and dirty way of keeping
checking it.
Look at my skin, Doc.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Very hydrated skin.
He has
Yes.
very good genetics also. You should see his 81-year-old mama skin. So he got good genetics.
Wow.
We're not gonna give him that
Beautiful.
hydration.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Okay, so let's
Genetics.
get some final things that you can say to the audience on this wonderful Ageless Vitality podcast that we do on a regular basis to teach men and women how to live well, age well, and experience
Yes.
everlasting intimacy throughout the midlife journey.
Yes.
Our goal is to feel better, live better, as we continue to age and mature. And thank you for providing us with some great nutritional information that we just
Absolutely.
did not know.
Right.
We learned a lot about the preparation of food,
Right.
healthy food options, less cooking, decreasing the inflammation. Can you
Different oils,
yeah, making sure we're hydrated, not just eating on a schedule as much as listening to the body when we're hungry, and also having more lengthy time in between meals to help with the insulin levels, because we know that as we age and mature, the insulin resistance definitely increases with the change in hormones. So can you leave the audience with a couple of great tips
Yes.
that we can start incorporating into our lifestyles so that
Yes.
we can do our part for our midlife journey to help us with nutritional value and the right nutrition to help us matriculate through this stage of life that can be so difficult, but we want to be healthy. Give us a couple tips in this midlife journey.
So we didn't touch on this, but I just wanted to add this. So you want to, as you're going to midlife, you want to make sure your blood is flowing, right? Because your body's changing and you want to make sure that you're nice and you feel tingly every now and then for your partner. So you want to eat food that promotes blood flow.
Okay.
And if you, yes, all parts of us, right? And so if you're on blood thinners or high blood pressure medication, you don't want to do this. This is not medical advice. So if you want to promote blood flow, especially to the nether region, you want to drink green tea, which increases your blood flow. You want to eat foods that have high vitamin E. You want to,
what are some examples of foods with high vitamin E?
Some of them are nuts. And some fish, salmon, has a lot of vitamin E as well. Ashwagandha promotes blood flow. And so a cup of ashwagandha in the morning, tea, that can work. And my favorite is ginseng. So
okay. So I got questions. I have questions. I know we're about to be done, but I have to ask. So I do what does that do, sweetheart? What's the one pill I take?
Oh, amlodipine.
Yeah, so it's a blood pressure, right?
Yes.
But I also do because I drink ashwagandha tea.
Yes.
I drink ashwagandha tea.
You want to follow the advice of your doctor, not Harriott.
Right.
Oh yeah. I mean, my doctor, she's okay. He
talking about me.
Oh yeah, okay.
She's all right.
Right. So he'll definitely take
I'm thinking
his
about
medicine,
switching.
But what he was
about switching my doctors, by the way.
So what you were saying is that ginseng, green tea, and ashwagandha are good food options to improve the blood flow to help with intimacy.
Oh yes, you feel the tingle, especially the ginseng. You literally feel the tingle in all the sensory areas.
And how do you
why
get
shouldn't
ginseng?
we do it if we're on blood pressure medicine? I'm trying to understand why we should.
It promotes blood flow. Blood pressure medication promotes blood flow. So you don't want two things promoting blood flow.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Got it. Okay.
Okay. So in ginseng, what form of ginseng? You just get it in like a capsule, a high quality supplement?
No, I take the American ginseng. There are different types. I just bought the Japanese ginseng because I've never tried it. So we're going to try it this month. But my favorite is American ginseng. It's really bitter, Dr. Mia and Joseph. So be ready. But you can just put like 3 slices in a cup of tea in the morning if you want. Or what I do is I brew some and I just drink, like we have 64 ounces and we just drink it for the week. And then we finish that and, we start over whenever we want to. But every now and then I'll do it. I don't do it all the time. I do it every now and then.
And then I reiterate that when you say green tea, you mean real natural green tea, not Lipton in a bottle.
No, not Lipton.
With sugar. You're talking about get some real green tea that you steep. And if you want to cool it and add, lime and a little agave to sweeten it, you can. But it's the real green tea that you usually prepare hot. And if you want to cool it later, you can.
Yes. And don't leave your teas too long because they all have half-lives. So green tea within 6 hours, half of the nutrients is gone. So you want to drink your tea
right away.
Yeah, not, like within a reasonable time. Don't stay on it. And another tip I want to say is, try to reduce the foods that cause inflammation because as we age, those inflammatory agents, they end up in our joints, our knees and our elbows and our fingers and stuff. And it's bad enough you can't walk or hold a bag. But it's a part of aging when you are intimate with your partner. You can't move. Now, if you can't move, sometimes people think, oh, my organ doesn't work or my body part doesn't work. No, can you bend your knee to move? Like basic things like that. So you want to avoid too many foods that causes inflammation.
For example?
It's not the food, remember.
Yeah, it's the way it's cooked.
How you prepare it.
It's how you prepare it.
Okay.
So you want to use combinations of cooking methods. Don't just stick to one cooking method.
Well, is corn ever anti-inflammatory? Is it a way to prepare corn so it's not?
Oh my goodness. Corn like canola has gotten such a bad rap, but it's such a good food. And I don't remember this particular antioxidant, but corn is rich in antioxidant. And corn is a whole food. And so when you are having your corn, you're having your antioxidant, your whole food, and it's rich in carbohydrates. So you have some corn, you don't need rice. You don't need potatoes. You have an ear of corn, that's it. But corn is a very good food. I eat it all the time. And it's so delicious.
Mm-hmm.
It is. I love it. Yep, I love it. We used to eat it a lot. We haven't eaten any corn in a while. We're gonna have to get our corn.
We've been too busy.
Yeah.
And I think the bottom line too is, I remind my patients that if you're eating out all the time, you're definitely not eating healthy because we know that they are not thinking about the kind of oil.
So Dr. Mia, I'm going to push back on that, but it's not necessarily eating out because some of my clients, they're busy and they go international a lot. So I always remind them, get combinations of cooking methods on your plate. I mean, there are people who never eat out and they have diabetes, kidney disease, liver disease. They cook everything from home, but they're not cooking the right way. So if you're going out a lot, make sure what you're ordering is not cooked the same way.
Okay.
Just make sure if you go eat some nice ribeye steak, Dr. Mia, have some mashed potatoes. You know what I mean? Not sauteed asparagus.
Yeah.
So make sure
usually what we do if we're out and we're having a steak, we usually have a salad with it. We don't. I don't do a lot of carbs like potatoes and stuff just because of how it makes me feel. So I would rather just order a piece of meat and a salad versus ordering a piece of meat with some potatoes or something like that, or some corn. So a lot of times we're kind of avoiding the actual carbs, on our plates, just because how it makes us feel an hour and a half from now.
But now we know we can try some different ways of cooking it, and we may notice a different response from our system.
Yeah, I'm not cooking with no coconut oil though. That's where I'm gonna draw the line.
To be honest, I don't normally cook with the coconut oil. I do it maybe once a month, I cook with coconut oil because we cook ackee and saltfish, and in Jamaica, your ackee and saltfish, you cook it with coconut oil.
She doesn't like ackee and saltfish. I like ackee and saltfish. So yeah.
So I don't use it a lot to cook with, and I discourage it, but I do use it once a month to cook my ackee and saltfish because I want the Jamaican, ness.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you gotta have it.
Y'all have heard it all from the Harriott Myers, who is a nutritionist with her master's in public health. And as you can see, a lot of great information on how we can improve our nutrition to improve our health, because we know that it requires us to live well, and we're learning how to live well. I think that's the biggest thing, is that nobody really knows all the answers in wellness. So that's why we want to talk to experts like you so we can figure out better things to do so that we can age better and be healthier while we do it, and also focus on what we're putting in our bodies and how we're cooking the food that we're putting in our bodies. So, Harriott Myers, can you please tell the people how they can follow you, find you, become a part of your program, get more information from you? Give them all of your information. We're going to definitely make sure we send that out to everybody as well. But can you share your social media platforms?
Yes. So I'm on LinkedIn. So my name is Harriott with an Harriott, and Myers. I'm on LinkedIn. And my business is called Bank of Nutrition. And the website is bankofnutrition.com. And there is a way to communicate. So there's a section where you can communicate or send me a message through the website as well. I'm creating a different website, but I'm using that current one right now.
Bank of Nutrition.
Yes.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, we really appreciate your time, your expertise, and all this great information, because I learned a lot. And Joseph did too, and we're going to do better. We're going to definitely do better. So y'all go live well, age well, experience everlasting intimacy. I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. We are focusing on nutrition during the midlife journey with Harriott Myers, and we will be looking forward to seeing y'all on the next episode of Season 3, Ageless Vitality Podcast. It's Dr. Mia, Coach Joseph, and Harriott Myers, and we will see y'all next time. And Harriott, we'll definitely be in touch because we've got to do this again.
Thank you so much. Absolutely.
Have you written your book yet?
Pardon?
Have you written a book?
No, I want to do one, but I don't know how to.
Okay, well, we got to get your book written because we need this information in a book. So we will be in touch.
Yes.
All right, y'all. We'll see you next time with Ageless Vitality Podcast Season 3. It's Dr. Mia and Joseph. Bye.